Felicia's fingers trembled over the keyboard. Her eyes darted across the screen, scanning the email line by line. She had expected secrets, skeletons, maybe a scandal buried deep in Tasha Parker's past. But what she found wasn't what she anticipated. Instead, the message revealed intimate knowledge about Felicia herself. Her business dealings, her financial accounts, every deal she'd made over the past 5 years. The words hit her like ice water. You think you can destroy her, but the truth I hold can ruin you first. One wrong move, and everything you've built will crumble. Her wine glass tipped slightly, spilling over the mahogany table. Felicia swallowed hard. She had always prided herself on control, on power, on never being caught off guard. And yet, right now, someone had her cornered. Someone knew her. Everything. She scrolled down, her heart pounding, and saw a single line of instructions. Meet me tomorrow at midnight. Alone. If you want to keep your empire intact, don't ignore this. Felicia froze. Alone. Midnight. The words both tempted and terrified her. Every instinct screamed danger, but her ego screamed louder. She had never backed down from a challenge. Never. Meanwhile, across town, Tasha Parker had no idea Felicia had stumbled upon a potential vulnerability. Felicia's own. Tasha's world was a controlled chaos of board meetings, press conferences, and staff briefings. But she had sensed a shift, a subtle tension in the air that told her Felicia was planning something bigger. Tasha didn't panic. She never panicked. She gathered her senior managers in the conference room, a quiet determination radiating from her. Felicia thinks she can intimidate us, destabilize us, but we are prepared. We have proof. We have witnesses. And most importantly, we have integrity. That is the only thing that cannot be taken from us. Not rumors, not lies, not her schemes. Her team nodded. Phones were charged. Evidence files were prepared. Security measures doubled. Every camera, every record, every transaction was reviewed. Tasha wasn't just protecting herself. She was fortifying her legacy. But back at Felicia's penthouse, panic and pride clashed violently in her chest. She replayed the email, trying to trace the sender, but the address was encrypted. Anonymous. Untouchable. Whoever had done this knew exactly how to unsettle her. And yet, she couldn't resist. The lure of power, of revenge, of finally taking Tasha down, was too strong. By the next evening, Felicia had made a decision. She donned her sharpest outfit, the one she reserved for battles, the one that said confidence even if the hands were shaking. She left her apartment, car engine roaring, and drove toward the meeting spot indicated in the email. Every turn of the wheel felt like stepping deeper into a trap. Every shadow on the street seemed alive. At precisely midnight, she arrived at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Fog curled around the building, thick and suffocating, hiding secrets in every corner. Felicia's heart raced. She pressed her heels against the pavement, breathing deeply, and stepped inside. The warehouse was dark. Only a single overhead light swayed, casting long, trembling shadows. She could hear her own heartbeat echoing. "Hello?" she called, her voice sharp, trying to mask her fear. A figure emerged from the darkness. Tall, cloaked in a long coat, face obscured. Felicia's instincts screamed at her to run, but she couldn't. Curiosity, pride, and desperation held her in place. "You're braver than most," the voice said, smooth and chilling. Or perhaps, just foolish. Felicia's throat went dry. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" The figure stepped closer. The light flickered, and then, in a voice that made Felicia freeze in disbelief, the words came, "I know everything about you, and I know everything about her. You think you've been chasing power, but you're chasing shadows. Your enemy is not who you think it is." Felicia's mind raced. Her fingers clenched. "What do you mean? Who are you talking about?" The figure paused, letting the silence stretch, letting the tension coil around her like a snake ready to strike. And then, in the darkest whisper, they said, "You're about to find out the truth, and when you do, it will change everything. Your empire, your reputation, your life. All of it hangs by a thread. Felicia's blood ran cold. Her hands shook. Every plan, every scheme, every carefully calculated move suddenly felt fragile, useless. She opened her mouth to speak, to demand answers, but the figure raised a single finger. Not yet. Wait until the time comes. One wrong move, Felicia, and everything you've built will burn. The figure turned, disappearing into the shadows, leaving Felicia alone, shivering. Her mind a tornado of fear and anticipation. She stumbled outside, looking back at the warehouse, heart pounding. What had she just walked into? Who had sent that email? And how much did they really know? Felicia had thought she was hunting a target. But now, for the first time, she realized she might be the one being hunted. Her phone buzzed. A text message. No sender. No number. Just 3 words. It's beginning, Felicia. And in that moment, she knew nothing would ever be the same. Felicia couldn't sleep that night. The words from the anonymous figure echoed in her mind. Your empire, your reputation, your life. All of it hangs by a thread. Every shadow in her penthouse seemed to pulse with danger. Every sound made her jump. She replayed the warehouse encounter over and over, imagining the figure stepping from the darkness, calm, omniscient, untouchable. Whoever it was, they held the power to ruin her, and maybe even destroy her before she could strike back at Tasha. Meanwhile, Tasha Parker sat in her office, reviewing the week's events. The press had begun to report on Felicia's smear campaign, framing it as baseless attacks from a bitter competitor. Her social media accounts flooded with support from clients, colleagues, and industry leaders who recognized the truth. But Tasha didn't let herself get comfortable. She knew Felicia was dangerous. She wasn't just vindictive. She was relentless, and the woman's capacity for deceit had no limits. Tasha picked up her phone and dialed a number she hadn't used in years. It's time, she said quietly. We need all the pieces on Felicia. Every deal, every email, every social move she's made. I want her exposed before she can hurt anyone else. On the other end, her former mentor, a former federal investigator, chuckled softly. You've got it. She won't know what hit her. Back at Felicia's penthouse, the following days became a careful dance of paranoia and planning. She tried to ignore the creeping sense of dread that the anonymous figure had instilled in her, but it was impossible. Every email ping, every phone call, every passing glance from strangers on the street felt like a threat. And yet, the need to destroy Tasha burned hotter than her fear. Felicia decided it was time to strike again. She crafted another public post, this time more personal, more venomous. She painted Tasha as a fraud, someone hiding scandals behind a smile, someone unworthy of admiration. She uploaded it to multiple platforms, watched as it spread like wildfire, and felt the familiar rush of power. But the rush was fleeting. Within hours, Tasha's team had countered. Fact-checkers, journalists, loyal clients, all flooded the web with stories proving the falsity of Felicia's claims. And then came the message. The same anonymous figure. You're running out of time. One final choice. Make it wisely, Felicia. Felicia's hands shook. Rage and fear collided violently in her chest. She had always been the hunter, never the hunted. And now, she wasn't sure which she was. Determined to regain control, Felicia made a risky move. She called one of Tasha's contacts, a junior manager she assumed was naive and manipulable. If you want to protect yourself, Felicia said, her voice cold and sharp, you'll feed me everything about Parker Auto Group, every weakness, every secret. Otherwise, she let the threat hang, venom dripping from every word. But the manager didn't flinch. Instead, a calm, icy voice replied, you're not the first person to try that, and you won't be the last. But you should know something, Felicia. Tasha Parker always wins. Felicia slammed the phone down, her mind spinning. How could Tasha always win? How could she be everywhere, controlling everything, untouchable? Panic clawed at her chest. And yet, she couldn't stop. She had to fight back. The turning point came late that night. Felicia's laptop pinged with another email. The sender was the same anonymous figure. This time there was an attachment, a video. Hands trembling, Felicia opened it. The video was grainy but clear enough. Tasha Parker, standing in front of a group of investors, was smiling, handing over papers, shaking hands. But then the camera shifted, and Felicia's stomach dropped. The footage included intimate details of her own life, contracts, private emails, even conversations with her friends and colleagues. Everything she had done in her scheming, every lie, every false claim, it had been recorded. Felicia's mind raced. She realized, with horror, that the figure wasn't just a bystander. They had been watching her moves, tracking her every step, and now they held the power to destroy her completely. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. One final choice. Come clean, or everything falls. Felicia's ego screamed defiance. Her fear screamed surrender. But she knew the stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined. One wrong move, one misstep, and her life, her career, and her freedom could vanish in an instant. The next morning, Tasha Parker arrived at the dealership, her staff buzzing with renewed energy. News of Felicia's failed attacks had spread, and public opinion had swung decisively in Tasha's favor. But Tasha wasn't celebrating. She knew Felicia would not give up. She had a plan, but she needed to be careful. Felicia had proven herself dangerous, unpredictable, and capable of immense cruelty. That afternoon, Felicia appeared at the dealership. She tried to act composed, smiling through clenched teeth. She demanded to speak to Tasha. Security hesitated, but Tasha, ever calm, agreed. They met in the same office where Felicia had first been humiliated. This time, the tension was palpable, electric. Felicia's hands shook, her mind racing, but she forced a laugh. Tasha, darling. Seems like we're destined to meet again. Tasha's eyes were calm, steady, and lethal in their composure. Felicia, I see you've learned something about respect. But let me ask you, have you learned about humility? Before Felicia could respond, her phone buzzed. She looked down. Another message. And this time it was different. The game ends tonight. Choose wisely, or everything will be exposed. Felicia froze. Her heart hammered. Sweat dripped down her temples. She looked up at Tasha, trying to mask panic with bravado. But inside, she knew. The final confrontation was inevitable. And it wasn't going to be just about pride or money. It was going to be about survival. Tasha's voice cut through the silence. Felicia, you can walk out of this office with your dignity, or you can walk out as a cautionary tale. The choice is yours. Felicia's fingers tightened around her phone. She glanced at Tasha, then back at the screen. Her mind whirled with possibilities, fear, and ambition. The warehouse, the messages, the video, all of it led to one inescapable truth. Someone knew everything. And that someone had set the stage for a reckoning neither of them could predict. Felicia's eyes narrowed. A wicked, dangerous smile crept across her face. Fine, she whispered to herself. I'll play your game, but I play to win. And as Tasha leaned back in her chair, serene, poised, and unshaken, the faint sound of a helicopter whirring outside the dealership signaled the arrival of an unknown player, someone who would change the rules entirely. The final battle was about to begin. The air above Parker Auto Group buzzed with tension. The helicopter's rotors chopped through the sky like a warning drumbeat, announcing the arrival of someone who could tip the balance of power. Inside the dealership, Tasha Parker stood calm, poised, every inch the leader she had spent decades becoming. Felicia's pulse raced, her carefully constructed bravado beginning to crack as the truth of the evening settled around her like a noose. The doors burst open, and a figure stepped in. Someone Felicia had not anticipated. A tall, composed woman, dressed sharply, carrying a secure briefcase, her eyes scanning the room with precision. The staff instinctively straightened, sensing the authority emanating from her. Felicia froze. Her confidence, her schemes, her plans. All of it teetered on the edge of collapse. Tasha's lips curved into a small, knowing smile. Felicia, she said, her voice ice over fire, Meet Ms. Evelyn, the retired judge who had helped Tasha in part 3. But this wasn't the warm, comforting mentor of the past. This was a force of reckoning. Ms. Evelyn placed the briefcase on Tasha's desk, clicked it open, and pulled out a folder labeled clearly, Felicia Hartman, Digital Footprint and Malfeasance. Felicia's eyes widened. She recognized the files immediately. Every fake review, every smear campaign, every lie planted online. And worse, Ms. Evelyn had proof of Felicia's recent dealings. Contracts she had falsified, emails she had sent to manipulate employees, recordings she had thought were secret. You see, Felicia, Tasha began, calm and deliberate. While you've been trying to destroy me, you've built a trail of evidence that now speaks for itself. Felicia stumbled, trying to gather words. You can't. It's my career, my life. You can't. Ms. Evelyn interrupted, her voice steely. Oh, but I can and I will. And soon the law will agree. You're looking at multiple counts of fraud, defamation, and attempted sabotage. All documented, all time-stamped, all undeniable. Tasha leaned forward, the weight of her presence filling the room. Felicia, I offered you respect before. I gave you the chance to walk away with dignity. You refused. You escalated. And now justice isn't just an idea. It's coming for you. Felicia's mind spun. Panic clawed at her chest. She had believed she could control the narrative, manipulate perception, and strike at Tasha with impunity. But every move she had made had been anticipated. Every step she had taken accounted for. The anonymous figure, the evidence, the careful legal groundwork, it had all led to this moment. Desperation surged through her. Tasha, I can fix this. I see Tasha's eyes, sharp and unwavering, bore into her. There's no bargaining for actions like yours, Felicia. Actions have consequences. You wanted war. Now you face it. The sound of sirens grew outside. Felicia turned, heart hammering, as a convoy of law enforcement vehicles and private investigators arrived, each one holding documents, ready to serve subpoenas and secure evidence. She realized, too late, that she had been trapped in her own web. But Tasha's final words cut through the chaos, a calm anchor in the storm. Character, Felicia. That's what defines a person, not the cars they drive, the money they flaunt, or the lies they spread. You've spent your life bankrupt of it. I am not. Felicia's knees buckled. Her empire of deceit collapsed in real time. As she was escorted out, cameras flashing, the staff of Parker Auto Group watched silently, respect and awe for Tasha radiating from every corner of the room. She had endured mockery, threats, lies, and sabotage, and she had emerged unscathed, stronger than before. And make it right. Just don't ruin me. I'll do anything. Tasha returned to her desk, the sunlight catching the old sedan parked outside, gleaming with quiet dignity. She picked up the phone and dialed, her voice calm but firm. Prepare the press release. Parker Auto Group has faced adversity before, and we will continue to rise. Truth has prevailed, and justice has been served. Her staff erupted in quiet cheers, relief washing over them. They had witnessed something rare. The triumph of integrity, perseverance, and character over envy, malice, and recklessness. As Felicia was led away, she glanced back one last time. Her eyes met Tasha's across the showroom floor, and for the first time, she saw not just power, but a quiet, unyielding dignity that she could never touch, never buy, and never destroy. The final lesson settled like a weight. Success built on character is unshakable, even in the face of lies, sabotage, and cruelty. Respect costs nothing, but losing it can cost everything. And as Tasha looked out over her empire, her old sedan gleaming faithfully in the parking lot, she knew this wasn't just a victory for her. It was a message to the world. Never underestimate anyone based on appearances. Never assume arrogance is harmless. And never forget that integrity always wins in the end.